Let it go. Just let it go. I know you don't want to, but I know you've been searching for it. I know you've been searching for that reason, that push, because you're tired of being pulled. I get it, bro. Just let it go. You don't need it anymore. It no longer serves your purpose. It no longer serves you. It may have served you for a moment. It may have served you temporarily. But now that the feeling is gone and the emotion is gone, where are you? Where are you now? Where has it left you? I know it's hard, dude. And I know you don't want to. But it's the very thing we're afraid to lose, that we're afraid to let go of, is what will be able to set us free. It's the very thing that is holding us back. It's the very thing that we're only burdening ourselves with. If you know that thing is just isn't serving your purpose and actually just hindering you from who you want to be, who you want to bring into the now, why are you feeding it? Why are you watering that seed? Why? For comfort? Fear? Are you afraid to be alone? Alone with your thoughts? Alone with who you are because you don't actually like who you are. So you're afraid to see who you become after so long. When the phone is off, you're home from the club, you're home from the bar, you're coming down from the high, you're away from the girls. Who are you? Are you afraid of that question so much that is that why you just surround yourself with every possible distraction? I get it. To me, I seriously struggle with weed, bro. And it's quite interesting because with me, I genuinely thought, I genuinely believed that I was in control of it. It was cope. I would come up with every excuse under the sun. Oh, but it helps me sleep. Oh, but it helps me focus. Oh, but it helps me just calm down. Cope, 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 and more cope. It's getting, when it gets to a point where you have to find an excuse to smoke or to pick that vice up, it's time to let it go because you no longer are in control with your life. You are no longer calling the shots. You are letting this thing rule over you. You are letting the smoke, you are letting the alcohol, you are letting people rule over you. You are letting everything around you dictate your life but you. And the crazy part is that you have the audacity to blame everyone, to blame the world, to blame the alcohol, blame the weed, blame the anger, blame the lust, blame blah, blame. You're always pointing fingers. But the beautiful thing about when you point a finger, you're actually pointing three fingers back towards yourself. You know, it got so bad for me to the point where I would wake up, smoke, go to the gym, and before the gym, smoke. But then I would be, the munchies would hit me, so then I would go get some Chipotle, and then I'd hit the gym, and then I'd smoke. And then I would work a little bit, and then I would spend that money that I made working to buy weed, and then smoke, and then buy a little more, just so I'd have just enough to make me a blunt before I go to bed. And it wasn't until that I was seeing that my actions were bringing people down, the people that I love, people that I care about. It wasn't until that I started seeing that it wasn't just affecting me. It was affecting those that I love. It was affecting those that care about me, that actually have my best interest in mind. I was affecting them because they were sitting there watching me indulge myself in the self-destructive behavior. It's heartbreaking. And the worst part is when I finally stopped smoking, I was able to clear up all the brain fog and clear up, my head and be 100% sober. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like what I found. I didn't like the thoughts. I didn't like it got so loud up here that I just craved it the most. But I knew at that moment that if I indulged in it, if I fed that spirit, if I fed that vice, it would only get stronger, and that Leviathan would get bigger and bigger and bigger before it got would before I knew it, it'd be too big for me. It doesn't have to just be weed. It can be alcohol. I remember this time period where after I graduated high school, I didn't immediately go to college. I actually took a semester off and I traveled. I did a lot of traveling, but I traveled to places that I shouldn't have. I didn't have any business going anywhere near. I went to parties. I went to universities. I went to colleges. I went to college, but I didn't even attend college during that one semester gap. I would go to these college parties in these college towns and just drink the night away. Everything just that was stressing me out, everything that I was just running from, just drown it out in alcohol, drown out the noise, drown out the. It was sad because when I would be sober, I would have these thoughts. I would have like this little voice, this quiet voice in the back of my head being like, "What are you doing? I know you don't actually want to do that. You don't have to take that shot. You don't have to take that beer. You don't have to actually go to that party. I know you don't even like those people. Why are you hanging out with them?" And I ignored it. And I ignored it. And instead, I would be working every single day during the week. And during the weekends, I would go travel to the next state. And it didn't even matter where. If it was a party, even if it was a whole state, like 2 states over, I was there. Halloween party, I was always there. I showed up and I always get the most drunkest. And I always like wake up the next day and I'd be like, regret everything. I would sit there with such a heavy guilt on myself that it just pushed me to drink again. And I kept ignoring and drowning out. And eventually, that little voice in the back of my head just got quiet. Eventually, couldn't hear it anymore. And it wasn't until, again, I started seeing that the people around me, they would just be hurt by my actions. They would be hurt by what they would see. And they would just be disappointed. And instead of changing, I would run away from it. So that's what I want to ask you today. What are you running from every time that you spark? What are you avoiding every time you pick up that bottle? What are you trying to hide every time that you drink and smoke? When you get drinking isn't enough that you also have to spark up. That sparking up isn't enough that, ooh, a couple shots would actually balance me out. I caught myself this one time because I started getting this habit of getting crossfaded. I loved it. Like I loved getting crossed. Like every time I would spark, I'd be like, ooh, a couple shots go crazy. Or every time I would, drink, I'd be like, ooh, if we sparked up, ooh, I would get the spins, and then I would just be like, ooh, be chilling. And every time that I did it, I wake up the next day and ask myself, why did you do that, Nico? Why? Every time I would ask myself that question. And it was such a hard question to answer. And I knew the answer. I just wasn't ready to face the truth. And the truth was, I didn't like who I was. And instead of taking the initiative and instead of taking the accountability and the responsibility as a man and as a human being, as a kind person, I became this sticky negative person, this person that I just didn't recognize anymore. Because I would look back at my memories and I would look back to who I was, and I would think to myself, and I would look at old pictures of myself and I would immediately start crying. I remember my mom would have this little photo album, and ever so often I would see it and I would open it and look at the pictures. It would break my heart every time because it was just this little boy. Every time, just this little boy, the brightest, biggest smile, and such hope behind his eyes, such eagerness to learn, such eagerness to see the world. And didn't matter what went through his mind, didn't matter what happened around his life. Because I could, even as a kid, I didn't have the easiest life. I didn't, my parents were awesome. I loved my parents. They did awesome. They worked hard. They did everything for me. They were great. But I didn't grow up in the best area. But this isn't supposed to be some sob story, but there would be things going on around me and I would be bullied or whatever, and I'd always have that smile. Every time I saw those pictures, I would think, oh my gosh, this is the same kid. When this picture was taken, I remember like when this picture was taken, I had just gotten jumped that same day, that very same day. Oh, and that picture I actually got swirlied. And if you don't know what it means to be swirly, it's when someone dumps your head into a toilet and flushes the toilet. And there was another picture. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like how am I smiling this that same very same day? Like I literally got pants in front of the whole class. And I remember every time I would see that album, it would hurt me a little more because I would look at that kid and I'd be like, I'm so sorry for who we've become. I would look at him and I'm so sorry for letting the world change me. You didn't let the world change you, and I did. I let the world change us. And I would, reflecting back and looking back, I realized that that little quiet voice in the back of my head and back was just my child self, my kid self, telling me, why? What are you doing? That's not us. This is like begging, literally begging me to come back, to save him, to be like, this is not who we are. This is not who I dreamed us for us. This isn't the dream. This was not the plan. And eventually I drowned him out. And before I realized that, I was already so far gone that I couldn't even tell you what day of the week it was. I was either too high or too fucked up or too something to know what day of the week, month, what time it was. None of that. I remember People ask me, hey, like, what is today? Wednesday? Like, what's today? I'm like, oh wait, today's Friday. I think it actually was Monday. It was always such a peeve of mine that I never understood, knew what day it was, and I would just live life, just letting it pass by, let it just blow me in any direction and so pleased. And it wasn't until I lost a lot, friends, family, money, opportunities, that I really sat in front of myself and I looked myself in the eye and be like, what are you doing? How much more are you going to self sabotage before you realize and it clicks in your head that it is you? You are the one that asked for all of this. You are the one that caused all of this. Who are you going to blame? There's no one else to blame. There is no one else to blame but yourself. Those people aren't in your life anymore. The people that you blamed, they're not in your life anymore. So what's the excuse now? Oh, but so and so. Oh, but this happened. Cope. And you know it's cope. Every time you spark up, and I know it's tempting. I know you want to sit there and just one time, just for the one time. But you know that one time is gonna spiral you down. It's gonna snowball, and then one time is gonna be like turn into a weekend thing, and then every 2 weeks, and then it's before you know it, you're back to smoking on a Tuesday in a random parking lot at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right before work, and you can't even function. You can't even perform correctly because you're so blasted out of your mind. How much longer are you going to live that way? Take it from me, man. I blamed the world before I came to the conclusion that it's no one's fault but my own. My unhappiness is my own fault. My insecurities are my fault. I chose to eat and pick up that bag of hot Cheetos, eat the whole bag. Now we'll get the family bag. We'll get the family bag. Now we hit the whole thing in like a 10-minute sitting. It's embarrassing. And what's worse is like I'll have a big bag of Takis with a massive, large pizza. My go-to order. I'm not even gonna lie. This is what it was. Every time I would get like the munchies on a Friday night, big bag of hot Cheetos, Papa John's, stuffed crust, Hawaiian pizza. Now I'll eat that whole thing by myself in my room. And I would go to sleep. And before I knew it, I was 220 something pounds. I would look myself in the mirror and be like, who are you? I don't even recognize who you are anymore. But what's so crazy about it is that you keep coping and it becomes your part of your identity. It becomes who you are. It literally succumbs your life. And you thought you were in control the whole time. And before you know it, you're just sitting there just wondering, where did the time go? Where did my friends go? I thought these people were going to be here for me no matter what. You pushed them away, dude. You isolated yourself so much to the point that you just pushed everyone away because you wanted to spark up that bad, because you wanted to drink that bad. It's not worth it, dude. It's not. You don't have to go down that road. You don't have to end your physical life before it even starts. You don't have to end your opportunities before they even present themselves. And the most beautiful thing about that is you can start now. So something as simple as mastering your morning, because I know I push this so much, but dude, I'm telling you, if you can master your morning, you can conquer your day so that you can earn your night. Bro, I didn't even have a morning routine for the longest time until up until I was like maybe 21, like 21, dude. 20. Honestly, 21, yeah. I'm 22 years old, like last year. I actually took this shit seriously. I'm just like, I made a commitment to myself that I know I'm going to lose the weight. I'm not going to smoke weed anymore. I'm not going to drink and just to forget. No. And I did it. And I even said, I'm going to be celibate. I'm not going to have sex. None of it. None of it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And I did it. And I can safely say, bro, this is a level of bliss, level of euphoria that I wouldn't want to lose, bro. I don't want to go back to that version of me because I look back at videos of me when I was blasted out my mind or so fucked up I couldn't even walk, or hanging out with girls I barely knew. Here's a really here's a story. Here's a quick story about girls. I remember this one time I went to this Halloween party. It was my no, it wasn't a Halloween party. It was actually my friend's birthday. It was her birthday, and I'm so embarrassed of this, bro. But there was a girl there, and I actually went to elementary school with her. And we kind of like went to the same middle school, went to the same high school, whatever. And we didn't really know each other well. We just knew of each other. And I would say hi to her every once in a while, whatever. But she was at that party, and we all got super fucked up. And I remember her and I were in the bathroom, we were making out. And I remember I pulled away, and I'm like, "Don't you have a girlfriend?" It's not crazy. She had a whole girlfriend, and she was like, "You let me worried about that." And I was just like, "What?" And the worst part is that I continued it. I enabled it. I flirted with her. I was the one that approached her. I can't even blame her. Like it was, if it was me a few years ago, then yeah, I would have blamed her. But no, like even then, it was my fault. I continued it. But yeah, I went up to her, I approached her, whatever. We got to talking, we did drinking, we took shots and whatever. We ended up being in the bathroom together. We ended up making out and whatever. And that was sort of like my life for a while. It was always distracting myself with girls, distracting myself with weed, distracting myself with alcohol, distracting myself with food, and just completely just indulge. I'm just selfish. Like everything was mine. Like like I had to have a piece of it. Like I just, for some reason, I felt entitled to it. No, no, bro. Let it go. This isn't who you are, bro. I remember I had to look myself in the eyes. I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, that's not who I am. I don't disrespect people's relationships. I don't go behind people's backs. This is not who I am. If my childhood self, my kid version of myself came and saw me right now, he'd be so disappointed. So disappointed. Beyond disappointed. And I know you, every time you pick up that vice, you have that tiny little, it's that weird anxious feeling that just ties up in your chest that wants to tug you away from it, to tug you away. Dude, that's God, bro. That's God, bro. He's calling you. He's calling you to be like, stop. You don't have to walk this path anymore. And I implore you, I encourage you, don't wait till that voice stops. Because it's a loneliness that I don't wish upon my worst enemy, bro. It's a it's a mental prison that translates into mental obesity that is just so self-imposed. And it's the worst part is you are your own guard. You put yourself in that jail, and you are your own guard, and you're keeping yourself there. You have the keys in your hand to get up and go and get out. And you choose to stay there. Why? Why? Let it go. We're all waiting for you. I promise you, there are still people who have hope in you that still want you to wake up, to move forward, to get up and move. I promise you that the very thing you are afraid to let go is the very thing that is keeping you from leveling up and moving into the next step, into the next phase of your life. How much longer are you going to hold off your future? And much worse, how much longer are you going to hold off the present? Because the worst part is when you drink, smoke, whatever, indulge, you reflect so much. You like look in the past, and you're like, oh my God, like blah blah, my life, my life, my life. And then you forget that your life hasn't ended. It's not over. The story hasn't ended. The book isn't closed. Sure, that chapter 3 chapters ago sucked, but dude, you're in this chapter right now, bro. That chapter's closed. That chapter's over. It's wraps. It already had its own conclusion and everything. Excuse me. It had its own conclusion and everything, bro. How much longer are you gonna keep rereading that chapter? When you have the opportunity of time, when you have literally been blessed with a new day, you have been blessed with another opportunity to get up and change, to get up and change your mindset and change who you are. Because it doesn't matter what comes your way, it doesn't matter what happens. Every day is a choice, and you choose what you decide to do with that day. Whether it's to indulge, whether it is to suffer, whether it is to improve, whether it's to, doesn't matter. It's so funny. What every time right before someone's dies, everyone always says, "I wish I'd taken spirituality more seriously." And I'm 22 years old, and I wish I'd taken it more seriously, bro. I wish I'd taken it more seriously when I was 15, 16, even 10. Because I promise you, my life will be so much different now. But God allows things for a reason, and I believe in it. You haven't found this video on accident, dude. Let it go. Let it go. It's no longer serving you. I want to see you win. I want to see you succeed. And I want to see you become everything you actually want to be and be happy with yourself. I want to see that childhood smile back on your face. Let him be reborn. Give your childhood self a hug. Tell him, I'm sorry it's taking me so long to come back to you and save you. And I'm sorry I hurt you for so long, but I'm here now. And never stop showing up. Never stop showing up. Now that you are conscious of it, now that you are aware of it, you have no excuse. You cannot turn back because you are now making a commitment. Let it go. Yeah, I know you can, bro. I know it feels hard now. That's only because you've been feeding that Leviathan for so long, but I know you can do it. And I know you will. And you already have. Keep going.